All right, everybody, welcome to the Knights of Ren YouTube channel. My name is Sugi. Thank you for joining us. With me tonight is Zach and Larcher. How are you guys doing?
Awesome.
Doing good. Good to talk to you again.
Great. So we have just gotten some really cool spoilers from Fantasy Flight Games, and we've got a brand new set called Way of the Force coming out. Who knows when? They said Q2, Q3. We have no idea, but we did get some really cool spoilers. But before we get into that, why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Sure. I'll go first. Yeah, I'm in the Orlando area meta. Our last few regionals, I've top 4'd and top 2 in Miami and in our Pensacola regional. I've been playing board games for the last 10 years, picked up Destiny as my first serious CCG since I dabbled in Magic when I was way too young to be able to afford it, and I've been loving it ever since.
All right, Zach Neward here. People in the Tampa area know me as the one trying to get a bunch more people to play Destiny. Played and met you all at the Miami Regional, top 8'd, and my team from Tampa gave birth to the Boba 7th Sister deck, which has been doing pretty good, and we're just trying to make waves here. So now excited for the newest set. Got some really sexy stuff. So
these are the very first impressions, and we're going to do this very similar to Pardon the Interruption. We're going to talk about each card for 2 minutes. Once the timer goes off, we're going to move forward and keep on trucking. We're going to talk about each card in detail on the Knights of Ren podcast this upcoming week. But for right now, these are just going to be really quick hot takes, what we like, what we don't like, what we expect. And then we're also going to talk about a battlefield that might be a little bit more interesting than the standard battlefield. So stay tuned for that. All right, so here we go. The first card is going to be General Grievous, the fearsome cyborg. He's got 13 health. He is 15 points, 20 points for elite. His die faces are 1 melee, 2 melee, 3 melee, all for free, 2 disrupt, 1 resource, 1 blank. He is a character leader, legendary rarity. His card says, ignore all play restrictions on weapons played on this character. He can have 1 additional upgrade, which means you can have 4 upgrades on this card. And then he also has a power action that says, if 4 of these characters' weapon dice are in your pool, deal 4 damage to a character. We have 2 minutes to talk about it. Let's go.
Wow, this card is bonkers. Both abilities on his card is insane. We haven't seen abilities like this before in the previous sets. Finally, people are going to be happy to get a playable Grievous character. I also think that although his die is super powerful, I think he does have some problems. With like classic villains, he doesn't have shields on his dice. People compare him to Vader, but Vader also forces your opponent to discard a card, which means they have less options to control your dice away, generally. So Grievous is more susceptible of damage or removing his dice just because of that. Also, if you're trying to play 4 resources or 4 weapons on him, it can be pretty tough. That's a lot of resources, and that's a lot of resources you're not spending on removal to keep him alive.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think in response to resources, I think the path of least resistance is going to be General Grievous, maybe Stormtrooper, Profitable Connection. Then you could use Hunting Rifle, DH-17 Blaster, Fragmentation Grenade to get 4 weapons on him pretty quick, and you can use Best Defense to keep him alive. Straight red. I think his real strengths will actually show if we get a 7-cost blue villain character with some sticks, because then you're going to be able to get Profitable Connection and Maul's lightsaber on him and Price of Failure, which could just make him absolutely bonkers.
That's disgusting. I don't even want to think about Maul's saber in that build.
Somebody mentioned crafted lightsaber too, which was really fun.
Yes, yeah, that's very good because he ignores all play restrictions for upgrades. Also, mono red leads to the leadership play, which also sounds insane.
Yeah, need a 10 cost. Who's a 10 cost? Who's it?
You have Sienna, you have Phasma, and you have this one other I'm not thinking of.
All right, there you go. That's 2 minutes right there.
We got what you want, say.
I know there's so much you can talk about the card, but we got to keep moving on. So here we go. General Grievous Wheel Bike. This is a 3-cost support vehicle, another legendary, which got a lot of legendaries out of this spoiler, which that's something else that's interesting to talk about. So the die faces are 1 gun, 2 sticks, plus 3 modified sticks, 1 discard, 1 disrupt, a blank, and a power action that just blows my mind. You can spend 1 resource, or you can spot General Grievous to ready this support. 2 minutes, guys.
I'll be quick.
I don't.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll be quick. I think it's really interesting. I think it's no Maul's lightsaber, and I think it's going to go the way of Kylo Ren's Starfighter. But I could be wrong. But I was not too impressed.
Yeah, to me, honestly, I think this is a really dumb card. This works against what Grievous wants to do. This is a support. You want to play upgrades on Grievous. Like, this is going against his strategy. Also, if you're not playing Grievous, spend a resource to ready it. It sounds pretty good, but there's also another card on the other side called Runaway Boomas that doesn't see play because it's also 50% damage, and by the time you resolve it, you don't have enough rerolls to actually get the damage through, to get the dice sides you need. Albeit this also has a modified side as well, so I just don't see this being useful. Like, Villain Vehicles isn't quite there yet. I mean, this will help, but it's also sticks, and Villain Vehicles doesn't usually run sticks. So I don't know if this is going to see play. I'm really hesitant on this. This is not the legendary I want to pull.
It might not see play, but I feel like this can be a really interesting way to add red to Boba, because right now everything is Blue Sister. Yeah. So you're trying to get off the whole Maul Saber play, use Boba to just punch 4 damage into the face. But if you wanted to do red stuff, you could use this with Boba, and you could basically do the same thing. It does cost 1 less, but you're not restricted to getting rid of shields. You can just pay the resource, get this die online, use Boba, deal damage.
It's valid. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, that's it. We're gonna have to wait and see. But as far as I'm concerned, this is about as useful as Mr. Garrison's Int Machine from South Park.
Yeah, my least favorite in out of bombs, probably that.
All right, time's up. Let's move on to the third red card. This is going to be an event, Furious Assault. This is a 2-cost event that is red, villain only. It states spot 2 red characters or General Grievous to roll all weapon dice on one of your characters into your pool. What do you guys think?
I feel like this is a way of saying FFG screwed up on leadership.
It's the new Bro TK.
Yeah. If Bro TK can find a way to slot this card, my God, we're in for an interesting deck. Again, another card that spots a specific character to have included in its cost to play it. So that's pretty cool, honestly. I love it. It's pretty cool what they're doing. I think this card is going to see play, whether it be, I think more so for the spot 2 characters. Because again, see, for me, General Grievous, again, those 2 resources, that's an upgrade on Grievous. Like, your strategy is to get to that power action as soon as possible. Because once you're dealing 4 every turn, I mean, you pretty much are going to win the game at that point, regardless to what upgrades are on him. I mean, that's just 4 consistent damage that your opponent cannot stop. So this card I feel like it goes against it, but again, I could be wrong. I could be disregarding how powerful this is. I also feel like that by the time this card gets really impactful, you might have already won the game. Like, it could be a win more card.
I thought I hated this card, and then I reread it and then saw that it said all of the dice on the character. That was a weapon dice. It's weapon dice, right? Or is it upgrade?
Weapon dice.
Yeah, weapon. So I think that plays really nicely with, General Grievous's ability. And again, if I'm thinking like maybe I'm using Grievous with a Stormtrooper and Profitable Connection and throwing out cheap weapons that have plus sides and re-rolling them with the Stormtrooper out there, I mean, I can see how it could work. Oh, yeah. I don't think it'll see much play, though.
It's very possible. All right, moving along, we're going into yellow. So we have, is it Bo-Katan Kryze?
Before, can we clear, is this the one where Sabine went back to her home planet and this lady was there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that's where we're most likely going to get that Dark Saber card that's on the World's playmat, which is probably going to be legendary, and it's hopefully going to be cheap, and it's hopefully going to be neutral, because who doesn't want more ancient lightsabers? If it's gray,
and a black one, no less.
Probably legendary is the understatement of the year, but okay.
I mean, watch it be it's a rare. It's like gray. It's a 1-drop. Like, it has 5 damage size.
She's a rare herself, right? Bo-Katan. Like, that's pretty impressive for a rare.
Yeah, okay, so this is what I find interesting. This is a rare card. Her die faces are 3 guns, 3 range damage for free, 2 melee damage for free, not bad, 1 shield, 1 resource, special blank. She's a character trooper, which other people have brought up on Facebook that, when they start to do trooper cards, hey, do a thing with a trooper, she counts as that. Her text states you can include yellow villain upgrades in your deck, and Zach had some ideas on how we can, incorporate that. But her special is actually really interesting. It says deal 2 damage to a character or 3 damage instead if this character has 1 or more villain upgrades. All right, 2 minutes on the clock.
Go ahead, Zach.
Look, immediately now heroes can use the LL30, which was a travesty if they couldn't before. I think armor plating could actually work if you pair it with Ezra, which is kind of cool because that could be a difficult situation with the low health. Another one's actually on the hunt that could actually work with her. So in my mind, I'm looking at her, I'm like, hey, pair her with Ezra and pew pew pew, or you pair her with a 1-die Yoda and you go crazy with the wrist rockets. Yoda flips it to the wrist rocket to a special and has the money to deal the damage for 4. I think that's kind of a cool play. Is it Sabine? No, but there's some things that are better about her, right? A 3/2 and a 2 possibly 3 for free. So I mean, she will see play, and I think people will love her.
Yeah, she's very intriguing. The fact that she has 3 different types of damage on her card is a little bothersome as far as getting your efficiency out of her. Like, it makes playing scruffy-looking Nerf herder on her is a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that there's multiple damage sides on her, and you may tend to run different upgrades with her. Now, I will say it's very interesting. Yellow villain upgrades. So that means you could potentially put Crime Lord in a hero deck.
Yeah. I mean, somebody's going to do it, and I would love to see it.
Yeah, like it's probably not going to be a thing, but that just sounds funny as all get out. Like, someone pair her with Ezra and just have Ezra steal all your opponent's money, and you just crime lord them.
I want to see it work. I want to see it. So I hope it happens. Somebody be brave.
Yeah. Usually if we're hoping something to happen, it's
Oh, I'm going to do it. No, I'm totally going to do that. When you say crime lord in a hero deck, I'm like, I'm in.
Also, I mean, you can run blackmail as well. You can bring blackmail over.
Yep.
Vibro
something I forgot to mention, she's 15 points at single die and 20 points at elite.
Yeah.
Strike costing.
Some people wanted her to be 13, 17, but we're gonna have to talk about that later because time is a calling.
Yeah.
So here's my least favorite card in the set, and unfortunately, I mean, we'll talk about it, but it's a legendary. It's called Formidable or Formidable, depending on how you pronounce it. It's a 2 resource upgrade ability. It's got 2 melee, 1 shield, 2 shields, special blank. The special effect is deal 1 damage to an opponent's character. If that damage was not blocked, you may move an equipment or weapon from that character to another one of that opponent's characters. All right, let's talk.
I think it's just okay. I don't think it's bad value, but I don't think it's great value. You got 5 sides that are always going to be useful because you have two melee damage. The 2 specials are essentially one direct damage. So like you can compare that kind of to an LL30 where it has a 2 side, a 1 and a 1 side. It's got two shield sides, which is the 1 shield side feels kind of bad. 2 shield feels okay. The ability as of right now, where we're seeing how deck building is working, that ability isn't probably going to make a huge impact right now for the decks that we see, but maybe with the inclusion of a lot of unique upgrades and to be able to turn off those perks from those upgrades by using this, it depends on how powerful these unique upgrades get. Will probably determine how good this card is.
Yeah, I mean, I actually look at this card and I think it could be playable in the right deck. And I think what throws people off is I think the 2 sticks could actually be the weakest side. I think shields on villains is very powerful, not using it with Bo-Katan, obviously, but in villain side, it could be powerful in, like, let's say a mill deck where you're trying to generate shields to block extra damage or mess with their tempo or mess with their dice, which is exactly what this does if you're able to deal damage and move one of their equipments or weapons to pull back one of their dice. It kind of seems like it would have to go in a hybrid almost more. Maybe if a damage deck can unlock this and find the right way to do it, great, and it could be good. I think at a 2 cost, it could fit in somewhere. I do think they've done a lot more testing with these cards based on what I've seen out so far and the rules they have in place. So I think somebody play testing has found value in it.
Yeah, I think you're right with the tempo plays. That's really the only place I can see it doing well. But there might be more cards that combine, like, you know, if you move a thing, deal damage or draw a card or gain a resource, like we might see some kind of combination with that. But for right now, like that was definitely my least favorite card that was spoiled. So moving on, we have Underhanded Tactics. It is 1 resource, another yellow villain upgrade ability. This die is really weird because you have +1 modified ranged, +1 modified ranged, a discard, woohoo, special, blank. Special says deal 1 indirect damage to an opponent. You may resolve another one of your dice. So this looks like it's kind of a really weird, kind of bad Kanan ability.
Yeah, it is weird. I think it's, I mean, it feels drafted to me because it seems weird. But you know what? A 1 upgrade yellow die on villain opens those card plays that say remove yellow dice to deal damage. Maybe somebody will unlock that deck. In a gun deck, you're basically paying 1 up front to deal an extra damage each round because it's +1/+1, 1 indirect, 1 indirect. I mean, that's all I have to say on it.
Yeah, I don't understand this as well. I feel like this card has 3 blanks on it because it's like if you want this to deal damage and then resolve another one of your dice, just take an action and resolve that dice you wanted to resolve in the first place. Like you didn't need this die to do that. I don't know where you're going to be able to chain into this card will make it efficient to resolve another dice. The modified side just feels absolutely terrible. But I mean, yeah, in the right deck with a yellow, like mono yellow deck with playing all this sideways damage, it could definitely have a use. And the 1 discard's always nice, but you know, I like playing mill, so that's, you know, that's me. But otherwise, I don't like this. This is my least favorite card from the spoilers right now, just because I don't see a purpose to it yet.
I just like the fact it's $1 for a die. Like there's not really any point to complain about that because even with the sides, like none of them are bad. You could argue the modified sides are quote unquote bad, but they're still usable. And then the special is damage and the discard is great. I mean, it's not like hyper efficient, but it's still a die.
Right. You're not wrong. $1 for any die is great value. Even if it's, I mean, even if it has, you know, four blanks, well, maybe not go that far, but just the fact you have a die out in the field that you can interact with playing He Doesn't Like You and stuff, you know, that's worth something.
Energy slingshot.
Yeah, I agree. All right, moving on. Speaking of which, all right, so here's my big time favorite from the announcement, and that is Old Man Luke, your reluctant instructor. And if you didn't listen to the Knights of Ren where we talked with the Double Blanks guys, you missed out on Chris complaining a lot about Luke Skywalker being bad. So if you're listening and watching, you can suck it up because this Luke Skywalker is not bad. So he comes in with 12 health. He has 12 points for single die, 15 points for elite. His die faces are 1 focus, 1 shield, 2 shields, 2 shields, 1 resource, blank. His special effect is you may resolve the shield sides of this die as if they were melee damage, and that's 1 shield, 2 shields, 2 shields. That can be translated.
Wait, there's more.
Yeah, there's more. There is more.
Yeah.
That can be translated into 50% damage. Plus, he has a power action, which we'll have to really think about this one. So it's move a blue ability from this character to another blue character. And before we start the clock, one thing I absolutely thought about with this guy is if there's negative blue abilities, you can move from him to an opponent's blue character. The card doesn't specify your team or your opponent's team. So I'm not going to say that FFG is going to design negative blue abilities, but they can because Luke isn't only trapped to moving abilities amongst your side of the field. So here we go.
I might say, like, I really think that this card is going to pair very well with a card we all gave away because it wasn't a weapon, Makashi Training for only 2. That has all those melee sides. It could go to him. It could go to Ayla, right? And then she can use it. And then since you're claiming quickly with just 2 characters, you could cargo hold it back to Luke Skywalker. And you could like cycle, or if you need Kanan Jarrus to do it, so you claim quicker, so you could keep cycling back and forth and get 2 uses out of the same upgrade. Other ones are like Force Wave, Force Throw, but the big thing is you combo with Cargo Hold, and you can maybe do some fun stuff here, is what I'm thinking. And you put pressure on them to act quick or get screwed. So I like it. I like it a lot.
You can use Luke Skywalker as a mill character as well. Play Force Meditation on him, resolve the special, pass it on to his other buddy, and resolve it again.
Yoda.
Wow, yeah.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
I wonder if Yoda will pair with him. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, Cargo. I didn't even think about that. I hate you. You guys need to stop coming up with these decks, man.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. He should have been a purple. His cost is really high. I mean, if you look at, that's what I mean. He should have been. He is. Yeah. But if you look at him, put him side by side by Zeb, and I love Zeb. But you look at Zeb, you look at him, you look at Zeb, you look at him, you're like, it's Luke, 100%. It should be, but he is hot, man. I think he's going to be good.
He has so many implications, and from a real high level playing standpoint, like. To be able to have the flexibility to resolve his dice as shields or as damage, that is amazing. I mean, to be over the table and having that decision, like, what does my opponent not want me to do? Well, I'm going to do that. I have the ability to do that. The flexibility is amazing.
Oh yeah. All right, so moving on, and we could probably spend a good 20, 30 minutes just talking about Luke, but we got to go. So Built to Last is the next card we saw, and this is interesting. So this is a blue plot neutral. So you got to have a blue character on your team, but you can play villains or heroes. Costs 4 points, which I really don't like, but we'll get to that. The plot says each of your unique upgrades has the redeploy keyword. Not bad. After you play unique upgrade, you may exhaust this plot to gain 1 resource. Also not bad. However, 4 points is like a die or a half of a character or like a good 2/3 of a character. And I just don't know if that's worth giving up to get a resource and give your unique upgrades redeploy. I mean, let's talk about it. 2 minutes.
I mean, it feels real good with a Padawan.
Oh, yeah.
Padawan, 100%.
Like, the value you get out of this is unbelievable with a Padawan. I mean, so I play a 3-drop for almost free with Reaping the Crystal. But yeah, that's
Race Staff, Zeb's Bow Rifle, Obi Saber, Luke Lightning Rod.
Yeah. But obviously the elephant in the room is its biggest cost. Is it costs 4. I mean, you have to build a 16-point team. You're handicapping yourself a lot by not bringing as elite a character pairing as you could. But how much is original Rey? Is she 11 points elite?
12.
Yeah, she's 9-12, okay. I think.
Because then if she was 11, you compare her with the new Luke, and that would be disgusting and be able to play this card. So you can't do that. But
Padawan, Maz 2, and Ezra, and if you get a blue hero at 7, I think you switch that out for Ezra, and then all of a sudden you have this, and you got all those elites. You also have Rey Staff, which is another one. Master of the Council is now playable. Right?
Yeah,
plus you get free cards like Maz's Goggles and Journals of Ben Kenobi. I think it actually will see play.
Yeah, I think there'll be a deck for it. It'll be very limited to the decks that it will be able to fit in right now.
I think the larger implications are that FFG is exploring plots with colors associated with them.
Ooh, yeah, beautiful.
And that's what I like more. Like, the card is fine. It's fair. It's well designed. But the fact that now there's blue neutrals means we could see blue hero, blue villain, yellow hero, yellow villain, yellow. Like, we can see all of those combinations come together in plots.
Hot.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Let's take a look at the last card from the set. And this is probably my second favorite. Blue is just getting the love. Last set, we got Yoda. This set, we get Luke. But holy moly, this should have been a legendary, in my personal opinion.
I agree.
Thank you, FFG.
Yes. Thank you, FFG, for a legendary, powerful card. That's a rare. So this is Luke Skywalker's Lightning Rod. It is an upgrade equipment, 2 resources, hero blue, and the die faces are 1 melee, 2 melee, 2 melee, 1 shield, 1 resource, a blank. And the card states, while this upgrade is attached to Luke Skywalker, you may resolve the melee damage sides of this die as if they were shields, and they're the exact same ratio as Luke. So it's 1 122. Let's talk about it.
The thing's beautiful. I mean, you put it on a Padawan, it costs 1. You have the plot, the plot to actually let you reduce your cost by 1 by getting the resource back and give it redeploy. It's pretty huge. So,
well, here's the thing: it's not a weapon.
Oh, no lightsaber pull.
Its one drawback is that it's not a weapon, so you can't lightsaber pull it, and it doesn't work on a Padawan.
And it doesn't work with Shoto.
That's painful. So it does have its drawbacks, but pound for pound, this is value.
Yeah. I think you need to find a way to give it redeploy, though, is the only problem. Well, it's cheap, it's good, it's efficient. It's very efficient.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that plot card we just talked about will do it. I still don't know if Bestow or Funeral Pyres are good enough yet to be in the meta, but again, this could blow things out of the water, so we don't know.
It's 2 resources.
But the option's out there. And it's only 2 resources. Yeah, so it's like, who cares if I can't pull it? When I see it, I'm going to play it every time.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's 1/2/2, it's just so efficient from a dealing damage perspective. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think this is going to be a blue staple from now on.
Yeah.
And if you're sitting on Luke with this attached to him, you've got shields that can do damage that can shield. Like, your opponent is just going to go like, what on earth are they going to do? Like, and with Riposte, come on, you can just do all kinds of shenanigans, and Luke can't be garbage shooted. You can't eat his dice with a garbage shoot, so you can roll out shields, and you're like,
he turns a lot of removal off.
You're just like, oh no, shields. Nope, it's damage, sucker.
Luke Skywalker, reluctant instructor, best Luke Skywalker yet.
So those are all the cards we got out of the set, but I believe you heard something from Zach Bunn on one of his blogs about a battlefield with a die?
Yes. Now, we didn't hear about any specifics on it, but Zach Bunn mentioned that there was going to be a battlefield with a die associated with it. That's really exciting. Like, I'm really excited for them exploring battlefields even more like that.
All right, so as we wrap this up, there is just a ton of incredible stuff coming out of the set. We've only seen 9 cards, but there's so many different things we've seen that really excites me, because we've seen Luke, we've seen dice that do multiple things, we've seen plots that are different colors that could potentially have different affiliations. But I want to hear, your guys' thoughts as we, wrap up this show.
Yeah, I'm really excited. They're expanding upon the game, which I am 100% for. Like, they're taking plots now into a different territory, which I like, now having color requirements for them and potentially making them more powerful, even though they may come at a more detrimental cost. So that's pretty interesting. I think the cards that have been spoiled, we've had a mix of really, really good cards, like oh my god cards, and a couple like, I don't want to pull that. But I am really excited for the new mechanics that they're coming out with this set. My only trepidation is I don't know if draft is just based on these 9 cards, which is not even 10% of the set. I don't know if it's going to be good based on what they've already described, what they want the set to do, because of the uniqueness of the upgrades, maybe having play restrictions, cards being better only on specific characters that may not mesh well in a draft environment. But I mean, that's left to be seen. I mean, draft is fun regardless, so I can't imagine it being super bad or terrible. That's my biggest thing. Otherwise, I'm looking really forward to the set.
I think that's a really good point about draft, and I hope that remains viable, because I think that's very important to the game. I also am extremely excited about the set. Like you said, I think FFG has, flexed their muscle with what they're going to do with this game, and these spoilers took a long time, which I think is good, because I think they really did their play testing on this one, and it looks like they were very specific in how they wanted cards to interact on the field. We talked about misreading Luke's lightning rod and how that can actually be used effectively and can't be with lightsaber pull, Padawans, and the Shoto. Other cards like how Bo-Katan and Grievous can be used because of their point costs only in certain ways. So I think that's very, very important. To me, I think Luke is just all out exciting, and what you can do in shenanigans that you could pull with him. And I think the real big for me, I think the one that's going to surprise people is Built to Last. I think that, we're not in a game right now where you could go big and small, but you have to kind of have people kind of in the middle all around. A lot of times those decks are successful, and I think that card is actually built to strengthen those decks, and I think we're going to see some really, really cool tricks with it. And again, I'm just excited with what else will come out from the set. I do not think any of these cards are going to be the best card from the set, personally.
Oh, a very interesting prediction, especially with Luke just drawing so much attention to himself. So that is the end of this YouTube episode. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to all of our Patreons for supporting us, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and join us on all of our social media outlets. And a big thank you to all of our Patreons for your support. We can't do this without your help, so make sure to join us for all of our exclusive Knights of Ren content.